Hello everyone, hello everybody who had a moment to join and everybody who might be watching this video in recording. My name is Ilya. I lead sales at AnyBiz, the AI SDR company. And today, together with my colleague Belen, who was instrumental in putting all of this together, I would like to present to you a quick presentation which is about how to craft a compelling value proposition. Now, the way that this is going to go is it's going to be a quick presentation. I don't expect to be talking for more than 10, maximum 15 minutes. And then we're going to open it up for questions. So in case you have some questions or you feel that I missed a nuance or you disagree with something, I would appreciate that part of the conversation more than me presenting, because I've done this many times. And let's kick things off then. First of all, why? Why do we even have this meeting? Why do we have a presentation? Why do we have a webinar about the value proposition? And that is because your prospects, your clients, less so, but maybe still your prospects definitely do not care about you. People often don't even care about themselves. People only care about their problems, something that is front and center when they wake up. It's slowing them down, it's in their way. And that's how, getting a little bit ahead of myself, that's how we need to craft our value proposition from the standpoint of their problems. But again, if your expectation, you as a business owner, you as a sales leader in your organization, you probably believe in what you're selling, and you might even love what you're selling, and you might be passionate about what you're selling, but your prospects are not. So if you feel that, hey, I just gotta get in front of the right person, and in case they are the right person in front of me, I'm gonna sell them, well, not guaranteed, because unless you catch their attention and you make them firmly believe that what you're talking about is necessary and vital for them within seconds, you probably have no chance. And I'm saying seconds because this could differ where you're cold calling them, where you're cold emailing them, where you're literally stuck in the elevator and you're doing an elevator pitch. The number of seconds differs, but unless within the first minute max, I confirm in my head, okay, I should keep listening. This is relevant to my problems. I could benefit from here. I'm tuning off. I might be still present on the cold call just out of politeness, but I'm not listening. I'm doing my own stuff. So again, people don't care about you, and you only have seconds to get your point across and them starting to care about your part. And what makes a good value proposition? There are three components of a good value proposition, a compelling value proposition. Number one is being specific. I'm going to explain in a second what I mean, but having a very specific scenario in your value prop. Number two, talking about uncommon problems. And number three, having quantified outcomes. Very important, not features, but outcomes. So what I mean by specific scenario? Specific scenario is something that uses a form as for job title from industry that exhibit behavior. For example, I could say that we have created an amazing backpack for middle school students that suffer from flat feet. Now, if you're a middle school student suffering from flat feet, that catches you right away because you know, okay, this is about me, this is for me. Or I could say that for construction, for operations managers in small and medium-sized construction companies that are building residential homes. Again, I'm being very specific in the scenario in which I'm about to pitch my value prop. And that hooks me right away. I understand, okay, this is for me. They're not talking about everybody. That product is for me. I want to hear. And that we come to uncommon problems. So for example, you would often hear, I would imagine at least half of all the value props and websites out there are going to have one of these words. Boost productivity. That's not even a problem. That's a positive outcome. Save time and money. Okay, we're getting a little bit into the problems, but it's very common, very generic, not specific at all. That's not good either. Optimize and automate, another one which I love, and it comes up everywhere. And it means nothing because it doesn't feel in their brain, it doesn't feel in their heart, it doesn't feel in their gut. It's something they've heard again and again and again from companies as diverse as mobile phone producers, to SaaS providers, to service providers. If everybody's saying the same thing, nobody's really saying anything specific. So what you want, and I unfortunately cannot provide examples of uncommon problems because they're going to be unique for each and every business. In our case, AnyBiz, the AI SDR company, the uncommon problem isn't just going to be make more money and optimize and automate. Our uncommon problem is going to be for experienced, and I'm using the specifics here as well, for experienced BDR leaders who've been using Apollo and ZoomInfo and then pulling their list into the Never Bounce and then pulling it into Outreach and then spending hours managing replies and never getting the quick reply time. That's a very, very uncommon and specific problem. For example, our sister company, WarmMe, our uncommon problem is going to be if you don't know how to set up DMARC and you're tired of looking through your DKIM reports and your emails go to spam despite you using Spintax all the time, yada, 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 yada. So the more specific, uncommon problems also kind of means specific problems for that specific target audience. And finally, quantified outcomes. Again, most of the marketing copies out there, they're gonna say something like best in class, revolutionary, fast, strong, powerful. Those words are meaningless because people know that they're just a marketing copy and there is not much behind them. So what you want is you want to say, we have increased the return on ad spend by 50%. We have reduced the time it takes to develop an initial commercial offering by 17 hours. We have increased the number of calls any given SDR can make in a day by 270%. Very specific outcome, quantified. And if you put those things together, if you say very specific target audience that you're pitching to, and you mention an uncommon problem, which is very specific to their day-to-day, and you round it up with a particular quantified outcome, now that makes a super value prop. A value prop that resonates, a value prop that is believable, a value prop that is, I either believe you and take my money, or I don't believe you, but let's check it out. Which part of your very specific pitch is incorrect? In either way, it is engaging, it is compelling. Now, if you would like to take it one step further, there are a few frameworks that you could use. And all of them are really, they're not my frameworks, and I don't necessarily use them in day-to-day, but they're good starting points for when you're starting to think about your value proposition. They're good starting points to just take a piece of paper and start drafting. The first one is going to be the who, what, why, and it goes who we help, who, and you write, do what, and you write, so they can, why, and you write. Story brand framework is a little bit longer, and there's a whole book behind the story brand framework, but it essentially goes something like a hero has a problem and finds a guide who gives them a plan, calls them to action so they can achieve success and avoid failure. And in that scenario, hero is going to be a fill in the blank, problem is going to be fill in the blank, guide, who is you, fill in the blank, plan, call to action, success, out, success, failure. All of those are kind of fill in the blanks. And the last one is the Amazon positioning statement. Amazon actually has a ton of great copywriting guides. They're great at this. And their positioning statement, it's called, goes for whom, who exhibit behavior, the product or service that gets something done, unlike competition outcome. So again, that would have been too much to put on the slide, but you can just Google who, what, why framework, story brand framework, Amazon positioning statement. You should be able to find that readily available. And finally, all right, we've learned what a compelling value proposition consists of. We've learned a couple frameworks we can use as a starting point to start formulating ours. Why? Where are we going to use it? And you're going to use it everywhere throughout your sales process, really. Because again, the reason we need this is because your ideal customers don't care about you and they have very short attention spans. So if you want them to be interested in you, you got to get your point across super fast, super clear, in a super engaging way. And you do that throughout the sales process. You do that with paid ads. You do that with your website landing page. You do that with your cold outreach, whether it's the email, LinkedIn, or phone. That's where AnyBiz comes in. We could help you make sure that all of your messaging is consistent with your very punchy value proposition. And you also do it on a sales call. Like, that's again one of the biggest thing about sales is you gotta reinforce and you gotta repeat things that might be second nature and intuitive to you, might not be as much for your customers. So once you nail your value proposition, which resonates, make sure that all of your sales and marketing collateral follows that same logic and it's consistent across the board. So that was it. And we get to questions.
Yes. So for somebody that tried to violate AnyBiz, what is the best way to launch? You gave us some framework, but what is, since we represented basically your platform?
Well, that's a good question. And the best framework would be the framework that makes you feel that you have communicated your value proposition effectively. If you have multiple customers, maybe for some of them that who, what, why is going to be the most effective to get the message across. Maybe for some other customer who has better idea about their competition, for example, and the word unlike will get them going into the right direction. Maybe for them, the Amazon mission statement would be a better one. But where in AnyBiz, whichever framework you use, in AnyBiz, you would input it in the very first place, which says describe your offering. Because again, your value proposition is your pitch. And your pitch is a quick explanation of what your company does. So that will go in the describe your offering, whichever framework you used. And that's going to be the starting point for getting the AnyBiz messaging populated across different sales channels. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I guess I have a follow-up question. In terms of like onboarding to learning your platform, is there any other resources that we may offer our clients, for example, how to use your platform? Like
Yes, absolutely. Every client who onboards with us, who gets help of a dedicated customer success manager, will have a similar experience you're getting now, but on a one-on-one session and with a person who is not talking in abstract about value propositions, but they're helping you decide on your value proposition. They're giving you some pointers, etc., etc. So yes, that resource is available. You want to learn more about AnyBiz or chat about sales, reach out. We'll be happy to help. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.